All right, are we live? The lights didn't change color. All right. Hello. I guess we're back. Maybe. Um, we'll see how the stream goes this week. We tried to do it last week, but Levi was listening in on his headphones, and apparently the audio was just absolute trash. So we went ahead and killed the stream. Um, so we're back trying it again. I need to get a temperature gauge for this shop because it is quite toasty in the shop. But Levi and Brittany at least have a fan over there, so I'll just sit over here and roast. It'll be okay. Kind of the opposite of when in the wintertime I'm over here nice and warm and they're chattering our teeth in the back. So only one half of the shop can be comfortable at a time, apparently.
Yeah, I can call this comfortable. It's still very hot.
Yeah. So last time we did a stream that was successful and completed, we made a slingshot, and it was fun. But I wasn't overly excited with how it came out. It's a little asymmetrical, but it's fun to make. So I figure we'll make it up. Why not? Because I got a whole bunch of these doodads, so we might as well put them to use. What we started to do last week was make a pointy stick. So we made a pointy stick on one end, and what we'll do here in a minute is we'll get this straightened out, but we'll also make this end pointy. And we'll start folding it into a slingshot shape. So we'll see what's going on there. How are we doing over there? Get everything look good?
Sounds good so far.
Sounds good so far. Sounds good. Today we're smoking a Mark Twain riverboat. Yeah, a little riverboat. Wow. Not sure if you can see that. So yeah, Mark Twain riverboat. It's a nice Barber Pole cigar. Like nice. So we're gonna make this pointy on both ends. Then we're gonna fold it in half, and then we'll fold out the little goalpost shape. Thinking about doing some kind of twist or whatever, but it's super hot, and I don't want the thing to go on for 20 years tonight. So we're just gonna bang this out real quick, so we don't die in the shop. As you can probably see, we've been quite busy with getting the garden built and stuff. If anything's worth doing, it's worth overdoing, right? So we did a cage around the outside to keep the deer out and the rabbits, because I live in the city and I see lots of deer all the time, which is weird for me. I see as many deer in the city as I did growing up in the country. There's a cornfield behind my house and in front of my house. Nonetheless, that's what the walls are for. Then we decided to put chicken wire on the top, so in the fall time when we're done with the garden, we can chuck the chickens in there. Let the chickens roam around without the various raptors in town getting the chickens. Well, I'm going to get this splatter out of my toolbox and put it somewhere else. Alright, let's make the circle square. Because again, we can't draw it out while it's a circle. Got a little bit of a rag on there from where I cut it last week, but we'll just forge it out to the end and then just snap it off. It'll be fine. Yeah. So again, it's a circle. So if you try to forge that down, it'll fish lip and roll in on itself, and then you have to cut it, grind it, or forge it out, which will take forever. So you make it square, you forge it down to a taper, then ring around. So that's what we'll be doing here. Real basic stuff. Like this would be a great beginner's project. Like day one, learn tapers and scrolls. Day two, make a slingshot. It'd be great for a beginner's class. I don't know if they'd sell them. I don't know if there's a lot of demand for a hand forged slingshot.
It's a novelty item. I'm sure you could get somebody to buy it.
Can I hand this to you, Levi? I want to throw away. Can I hand that to you? Just set it on the table. Thank you. Ow! Just gave myself the old Tanya Harding there. Jeez. So yeah, I don't know if people would buy them. Heck, maybe if this one comes out nice, I'll throw it up on Etsy just to see if it moves. And I'll let you know. Levi and I had talked about doing like a wrist rocket where it's got the arm strap like thingy on it. There's a couple of different ways you can go about doing that. But yeah, maybe I'll make a hand forged wrist rocket. That would be fun.
I think that'd be pretty fun.
Heck, wrap the arm pad in some pea cord, call it a survival wrist rocket. Take it out to the woods and hit a squirrel with it, and then string the squirrel with it.
Now you wrap the armband with spare rubbers for the slingshot.
Hey, it's always a good idea to have spare rubbers. He said it, not me. Or you could do like a cotton, or even a hemp twine that's like multi-threads, and then also attach like a flint striker. So then you could strike it on the side of the thing and use some of the cotton fluff to start a fire.
Yeah.
Survival wrist rocket. But then I'd want to test it. I'd like to go out and try and take down a squirrel and then cook it just using what I had strapped to my arm.
Yeah. Make it where you can break down into a little squirrel roaster as well.
See, funny me was thinking I always have a knife on me, so I would just whittle a stick down to a point so you could roast a squirrel on it. But that'd be a fun project. I made a squirrel roaster years ago when I was brand new to smithing. We could do a squirrel roaster. What does that look for? Brittany's back there just eating seeds as a pastime activity.
Leave me and my sunglasses alone.
She listens and she judges.
Yep. It is toasty. Maybe I will get one of those little 9-inch fans and like clamp it to that, and that might be nice.
Yeah. I'm halfway surprised you don't just leave that one running.
Because I don't feel it standing here. I only feel it if I'm standing right here, and I don't want to shift everything over.
That's fair.
I could make a bracket and put it in the middle, but I'm afraid then it'd be blowing right across the microphone. Weird noise outside the shop. Yeah, real simple, quick little project. This might be a quick stream tonight, provided this goes well. It doesn't just like fall apart. I thought there was more drink in there. Oh. Thank you. This probably won't be gross. But we'll see. It could be super gross. Who's to say? Definitely, I had a shot of the spirit of a potato to throw in there. I think that'd be pretty good. Oh. Thank you. Don't even taste what I had in there before. That's awesome. Hooray, Gatorade. I wonder if that's the thing. Do people make cocktails with Gatorade? Do they do like vodka Gatorades?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I feel like that would be really yummy.
Yeah. Vodka disappears in anything fruity, so.
Yeah, like,
Why I don't drink it anymore.
like, do like Gatorade and a whole mess of ice and blend it, and then pour a bunch of vodka in there. I bet you that would be delightful on a hot summer day.
Gatorade margarita.
Yeah,
Come back next Monday, kids.
a Gatorita. The Gatorita. I like that. That should be a thing. Hashtag Gatorita. 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 That's fun to say too. Everybody.
Gatorita.
There we go.
Well, apparently I'm nobody then.
You could have participated, but you chose not to. That's mostly straight. That'll get taken care of when we fold it and then bring it back out. So who cares? So now we have a square pointy stick. And I want a round pointy stick. So now we'll get that getting hot, and then we'll round it up. I really think this is going to be like a super short stream tonight. Need to come up with more complex stuff tonight. Which is like the damnable thing of trying to plan the stream. I have, Brittany, help me out here. It's been a minute since I pulled up the spreadsheet. But I have a spreadsheet that the three of us have access to put project ideas on. And there's probably 40 things on that list.
Guess how many of them we've done?
Like three. And like if some of them that are on the list, I put after the fact. Because like, oh, we already did that because I went to market to make sure that, we didn't accidentally redo it. But yeah, we've got all these things on there. And then I get this weird idea. Like we were watching Survivor and I had a few adult beverages and they had to do like a slingshot thing. I'm like, it'd be fun to make a slingshot. So then that's why I'm making slingshots now. Like, I just go off the whim. I don't go off the spreadsheet like I initially planned to. Like if I just started at line 1 and started working down, I wouldn't have to think about anything in regards to the stream for probably a month and a half. But yeah, squirrel cooker would be fun. This weekend I have a 4-day weekend, so I might go to the metal market and get a whole bunch of metal because we're getting shy here. I'll get a whole bunch of metal. Maybe we'll do a squirrel cooker. That'd be fun.
As long as Metal Market doesn't have a 4-day weekend as well.
Well, Thursday is Juneteenth, and my company gives us Juneteenth off. And in my head, it's dumb to take Thursday off and then be back at work the next day and then take 2 days off. That just seems dumb. So the moment I realized we had Thursday off, I hit my boss up. I'm like, hey, the team calendar doesn't show anybody taking Friday off. I called Dad. He's like, okay, so me, So I took Friday off, so now it's 4-day weekend.
Smart planning.
Yeah, why not, right? So Thursday I might go do some fishing and then go up to the shop, custom blacksmithing in Atlanta, and yeah, we're working on a cool chair. So yeah, I'll probably go fishing in the morning. Then come home and hang out, and you go up to the shop early and hang out with those guys. Friday, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Maybe I'll go to the metal market, come out here and play. Do we have a thing on Saturday?
Yes, you do.
What's Saturday? Oh, I'm going to Murph on Saturday. I gotta get detailed on that. Murph, the MRRF, is the Midwest Rip Rap Festival. It's a whole thing about 3D printing. I went 3 or 4 years in a row, and then my 3D printer died, and then I just stopped doing it. For me, a 3D printer was quite impractical. It was very much a solution begging for a problem. Like if you're really big into tinkering and you want to build doodads and like cosplay stuff, or I don't know, make molds so you can do metal casting or something, I'm sure a 3D printer would be way more fun. But me, that just has a random idea once in a while, like, dude, maybe I'll make the thing. Like, I would rather have somebody that lives close by with a 3D printer so I can mooch off of them. I think the best thing I ever printed was a little doodad that would hold a servo motor and the extra remote start button I had for my Jeep. And I used that to hook a ham radio up to an Arduino DTMF decoder. So then when it got a certain number over the air from the DTMF tone, it would actuate the servo to push the button and start my Jeep. And therefore I could start my Wrangler from potentially miles away with a ham radio.
That is pretty brilliant.
It was so much fun to build. Like, the reason I built it was I used to have parked 3 blocks from my office, and it's cold in the winter. You know, walking 3 blocks in the snow and slush and all that junk, and you don't want to walk 3 blocks in the cold and slush and all that, and then get into a cold vehicle. So, a little bit before quitting time, I would get my ham radio out of my backpack, go over to the window, and say my call sign, which I'm not going to say on the live stream. I almost did, but I'm not. But anyways, I'd say it, and I'd press the number 7 on the keypad, and I had a ham radio on the Jeep that was listening. And when 7 came across, it would start the Jeep, and then I'd walk to my Jeep, and it would be nice and warm and toasty for me. And about the 3rd or 4th time I walked up to the window and did that, one of my coworkers, he's like, Jesse, why is it every evening you walk over to the window, mumble, and then press a button, and then you leave? Like, well, and he just kind of laughed at me. He's like, all right.
Jesse's that guy office.
Ham Radio's main magazine, whatever, has a section where you can do technical write-ups and send it in, and if they think it's interesting, they print it in the magazine. And I did 2 full write-ups on it. One that was super technical with all the code that was planned on adding pictures and like this full explanation. And I did like a Reader's Digest version of it. And I was going to submit it to the ARRL and see if they would print my project, but they never did. I don't know why. They just never sent it into them. But yeah, that was the most use my 3D printer ever really got. A coworker had latched Dealey when his car broke. So when he pushed the button on his key fob, it would pop up in the trunk. And the little doodad inside the mechanism that would hit the unlatch thing broke. So he went to the dealership and said, "Hey, I need this little doodad thingy." They said, "Oh no, you can't get that tiny little plastic piece. You have to buy a $400 new whole mechanism." And when he showed me the piece, I was like, "That's dumb. I can probably 3D print that. Give me, a little time." I printed one off. It cost about 20 cents to print. Gave it to him. He's like, "I don't know." So he goes out, pops it in, worked like a charm. He came in. He's like, "I want 5 more of those." Okay, so he could have spares and stuff. And I brought him in the next day and set him on his desk. "Here you go, 5 whatevers." And he pulled out his wallet and opened it up, and all he had was 20. So he handed me a 20. I'm like, "Don't give me $20 for 5 of these. This is dumb. They cost me like $1." He goes, "Well, I don't have anything smaller than a 20, so just take this." All right. So I used that 20 to buy more filament. But, we had a friend of mine who's into the 3D printing thing, and he wants to go up. And he's like, "I know you were into it, so let's go." What's supposed to go on up there?
Should be a fun time. If I was still here, I'd join you guys.
It's a fun little festival. It's very small. At least it used to be very small. But they would have these printers where they were printing, like the Roman stone statues and stuff. They're basically replicating those that tall, like in one single print. The printers were massive, and they would just, dang, that's a big printer. Like made the GMAX look smaller.
Yeah. One of the things that I want to do now is I want to take the foreign footprint, scale it up to where I can fit a whole body panel to a car.
That would be huge.
4 feet by 4 feet by about 2 feet. Kind of what I'm thinking. Don't think
It's kind of big.
Yeah. I wouldn't be able to print a car hood in one go, but I'd be able to do most everything else.
What kind of, would you use like a traditional gantry, or would you set it up more like a CNC machine? Or would you do those really cool ones where it's got the 3 arms that...
I'd probably keep it as a traditional XY. Just simple build, and the code's already out there. I'd probably overbuild it to where I could get some fast speed out of there, do a larger nozzle, go a little hotter so I can print at 1200 millimeters a second instead of 50.
You're going to have to get a fancy nozzle, because I'm guessing you're going to want to do carbon fiber at some point in time.
No, I don't really want to print carbon fiber. Mostly they're going to be molds to lay carbon fiber in.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Print the body panel, make sure everything lines up, do a negative mold of that, and then lay it out.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah. It is a lot of work, but it sounds like fun to me.
Something you might find interesting. I was at the IVA's conference a couple weekends ago, and a dude had a traditional Amish buggy with a lawnmower motor attached to the back of it and a little steering wheel on the inside. So it's like a powered Amish buggy.
It was more
pretty
like
cool.
old school horseless carriages.
Yeah, it kind of was reminiscent of that. It just didn't have the lanterns hanging outside. But he had a horn rigged up in it. That when you pressed the horn, it sounded like a horse neighing. Like, this guy's got too much time on his hands. One of the guys at the conference was like, "Man, I'd like to do one of those." Like, it would be fun. It's like, you could do the lawnmower route, or you could put a big battery in it, like under the seat, and then do like 4 electric motors, one on each wheel. So then you could do like 0-degree turns and stuff. Like that'd be really fun. He's like, oh, I might do that. So he stopped by an Amish market that has buggies for sale to look at buggies to maybe buy one to do an electric conversion on it.
Can't get more anti-Amish than that.
Told him he should lower it. Keep the big giant wagon wheels, but figure out how to get it to sit much lower, like a lowrider. Then put like speakers and lights on it. We're gonna do one more. I'm not super happy with how round that is. So we're gonna do one more heat on the rounding. But yeah, he said the Amish market, they had a couple of normal buggies, and they had one that had like a truck bed on it. He's like, oh, you're going to buy that? It's like, well, you'll have plenty of room for batteries and motors, you dangle. I think it'd be funny to do one on each wheel, and then you could do like flat spins with it, like show up and then do spins. Like, what'd you do this weekend? I went out to a cornfield and cut donuts with my Amish buggy. What? Anybody hanging out in the chat?
None that I've seen yet.
Hell, any viewers?
And there was somebody else for a short period of time.
Probably offended him with our Gatorita talk. Yeah. Alright, let's fold this sucker in half. And I think I'll measure it this time because that was so helpful last time. That's not metal. I had another one out here at one point in time. That's not metal.
Pretty sure we went through this exact same thing last time.
I think you're probably right, and it's not in my toolbox. So, yeah, I don't know what happened. Easy come, easy go, I suppose. Yeah. There. 25 1/4 inches. Why is it gotta be a dumb? I can't math.
12 3/4.
What? 12 3/4? I don't know. 12 3/4. I didn't want to hold the tape measure on there too long because I didn't want it to burn the numbers off.
Yeah.
Now I don't know what I was looking at. That didn't feel right. Does that look like the number? No. So I'm just going to mark that so I can find it when it comes out of the heat. folder right there. Last time I tried to just eyeball it, and it took me 3 or 4 tries to be completely wrong. But all right, smart guy Levi, I'll use your idea and mark it, and then bend it to mark. And then I nailed it on like the first one. So I was trying to follow that. If you eyeball everything will look good by the eyeball. But it's not how that worked out that time.
I very rarely experience that.
I feel like this is one of those moments that if you want it to be perfect, then forge it perfect. I still don't know how to do that either, but we try. Probably want some tongs. So yeah, this project comes from watching Survivor. And we've been watching a lot of Survivor. We went back to season 1, episode 1, and we're trying to watch all of it. But season 1 was rough. And I'm like, please don't make me watch season 2. Let's get to where it gets good. So we jumped to 7. And now we just started 27 last night, 28. One of those. And I've seen it once, maybe twice, and it's so dang frustrating to me that these people don't make tools. They take what they're given, and then they just use the crap out, like they get a machete, and they use it for like digging holes and cracking coconuts and chopping down trees, and like they use it like everything. Like that thing, you gotta be dulling the hell out of that thing. Like, why aren't you making tools so you don't have to rely on the machete for everything? Like, make a hardened wooden spike to crack open your coconuts. Make a stone axe or something. Like,
Right?
it's just so annoying. Make tools. Make a torch so you don't have to worry about your fire going out while you're off doing Survivor thing. But the problem is, rarely do they have survivalists on that show. It's all a bunch of socialites and wannabe socialites.
Yeah. It's just basically Big Brother set out in the wilderness.
Yeah, I've never watched Big Brother.
Neither did I.
I do love me some Amazing Race, though. I'm a longtime fan of Amazing Race.
That one I usually won't skip if it's on, but I've never gone looking for it.
Heck, me and Brittany, about a month ago, watched a video that the casting director put out on YouTube about what it would take to get on the show, like what they expect in a casting video that you send in. Like, it would be fun to go on that show.
Right?
Even if you get knocked out on the first leg, you still got a free trip to, like, I don't know, Yemen or whatever. You get to fly out to LA or Chicago, which is where they usually jump out from. Then you get a free trip to Saudi Arabia. You run around Saudi Arabia, and they're like, oh, nope, sorry. Then you just go back to the resort and hang out for a month. Sounds wonderful. Fire's slowing down, but I don't want to juice it up because then I know I'll burn my finger. We'll juice it up just a smidge. Just a smidge. We should still have the stadium seating behind the camera so we can have the big audience. Because I'm worried I might just burn right through the middle of the metal. So I was going to do a poll to see if I could blame you, but I don't have that anymore. So
Sad day, sad day.
yeah, maybe I'll put like a big garage door on that wall so we can roll it up and put bleachers outside so people can come and watch.
It'd be nice to get that cross through breeze too.
Yeah, had I been thinking that through, I would have put one of these doors on that wall and not had it, like, just had it straight through. That would have been great. But I did not think that far ahead. I did not consider how hot it would get in here.
And framing's not that difficult.
That's a big hole to put in the shop. Just plenty of us want to put tiny holes in the shop.
She's got a point. Maybe next year I'll hire somebody to come in and put a door in. That would be nice to be able to have it wide open. Maybe I'll pull the metal out of there and get the fire juiced up real good. It's taking forever. Alright, probably gonna get pretty smoky in here. Bring out your dead.
I haven't watched that in ages.
That movie just turned like 50. My God.
It's still wonderful.
Like that movie was old when I was young.
Yep. When did that come out?
Well, if it's 50 this year, so does that imply 75? That can't be right. Well, it might be.
Yep. April 27th, 75.
Alright, math. Look at me go. You know they were supposed to have horses in that movie,
Yep.
but they couldn't afford it, so that's why they came up with the coconut bit.
It's so much better with the coconut bit.
That's warm.
Agreed.
Do you agree that that's warm? I
No,
appreciate the support.
the coconuts were better than if they had had horses.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably the quote that I use the most from there is "Run away!" Ran away, away.
I did not.
Red, red, surrounding. One danger reared its ugly head, he turned his tail and fled.
I did not.
No, I think mine would be a tis but a scratch. Tis but a mushroom.
Kicking. Kicking. Uh, See, like, to sit down, and like, turn on that movie. It's like such a slog. But the individual bits are better than the sum of their parts kind of thing. Because that movie does drag on. Like, oh my god, get to the point.
I mean, it's just British humor, right? How any BBC show goes.
Poorly.
I mean, it's not just their shows, it's also how they write their books.
Yeah, that is English. They're a bunch of weirdos. Last time I looked at the metrics, I don't remember a lot of English people watching my stream, so it's okay. Strangely enough, though, when I first looked, a lot of Russians were watching. Like, all right. Australia. My boss is always making fun of me because my Midwest accent doesn't translate to Arabic very well, apparently.
I can see how that might happen.
Like, I get the words right, but apparently my accent takes away from it. And so whenever I say anything in Arabic, he has to stop what he's doing to make fun of me for 5 minutes for butchering it.
That seems like more of a French move.
I'm going to tell him he said that. And so the other day we were talking about something. Some people want us to build a server that's completely out of spec, and then they expect us to support it. I'm like, personally, I say we give them exactly what they ask for, and then inshallah. And he's like, yeah, exactly. He goes, you actually got that one right. I was like, it's about time. But yeah, it was so fun that I stopped him right in his tracks. He was just going to keep going on until it turned. I was like, wait a minute. Inshallah is Arabic for if God wills it. So it's kind of a, we'll see.
Did you melt the middle yet?
Give me some time. So, I like to go to the Gun and Knife Show in Indianapolis when it's around. And there for a while, it was very prevalent. It still is, but not as much as it used to be, to buy tactical patches and hats and t-shirts that say infidel on it. And then usually it has Arabic underneath it. Then I just remember one time walking by, this guy was wearing a t-shirt that said infidel. Real big letters. He was wearing a cross necklace.
That's a little bit of a contradiction there.
I don't think that word means what you think it means, my friend. Looks hard enough to do some bending, but too bad I put it hot in the wrong spot.
I was about to say. I mean, you might be able to get the wiggle out of it with that one.
Yeah, but it won't bend like I want it to. Where's the home thing? That's how we ended up with that wonky bend on that one. It's like, yeah, the heat's close enough, let's get it. And then now we have an asymmetrical sling. He's giving me dirty looks again.
Nah, it's just my face.
You have a dirty face? Wash your face. Alright, now. So what?
That was a fun one.
Somebody threw something in the trash can. bang on my anvil a bunch of times, turn up the music, be like, hey, quiet down there. That fan helping over there?
Oh, I don't know about your phone, but I'm nice and cool.
Yeah, I'm comfortable. My phone's not really even any. Go up. Sorry, I forgot your keys.
Brave.
Hold it.
Now that notch I put in there, of course I stared at it for 2 seconds. Well, I'll just start to bend so I can find it easier. But yeah, you put that notch in there. Yeah, bigger fork. Put that notch in there because if you just soap mark it, it'll burn off. So you get that notch and you write it down the sharp edge of your ankle and you feel it. That's how you know where to start bending. Guess I could use my bending fork too. Yeah. We'll just wing it.
I wonder if we should have moved it about a 1/4 inch. That way we could have accounted for the radius of the bend.
That sounds like math. That was a lot of math words in that, Levi. I don't speak that language. So what we'll do is we'll bend it, and if it's not exactly right, we'll fudge it and we'll get it right. You should see those guys at the shop. They're like, yeah, we're going to get this much material. We're going to put this on a bend, so it's pi r squared times 37 or whatever. And they're like, so what's that come out to? I'm here to hit metal with a hammer. Stop making it math. Came here to hit things, not add things. If you want to do math, you do it. Leave me out of it. I'm one of those fools that would still like an apology from my math teachers in high school. You're going to use the quad something or other formula every day, all the time. You won't have a calculator in your pocket all the time.
I've never understood that approach. The best approach that I've understood it is we're teaching you this to exercise your brain. That makes sense.
I was one of those kids that if I was into the subject, I was a student, no big deal. If I wasn't into it, D's, maybe a C if I got lucky.
Yeah.
But then also I learned that B's and C's will get you to the next grade just as well as an A will.
Well, C's get the degrees.
Yes, it did. Like classes I liked, I put in enough effort to have passing grades. Class I didn't like, I put a lot of effort into so I wouldn't fail it and have to do it again.
Yeah, my big problem with school was if I couldn't get it done in class, I usually didn't do it.
I would save everything for study hall. I always made sure I had a study hall period. We still came off a little off, but I can probably straighten that and pull that out. Yeah, I just always had a study hall, so I wouldn't have to take homework home. I would just do it in study hall the next day. And also in study hall, there is nobody watching us that closely, so I'd sit with my friends and be like, hey guys, I did the history of homework in class yesterday. You guys can copy mine. If I can copy yours, it's so trade it off and then take each other's work.
We were lucky. Nowadays, it's a lot harder to do that because everything's online and they have the computers checking it. Our Are you doing the same answer as somebody else? Are you using AI to do your shit?
Well, aren't you supposed to get the same answer as everybody else?
That's part of what I always find amusing. They want you to say the same thing but differently.
No, gonna ruin my points. But we'll tap that down. We're gonna get that blazing hot and tap that down. Remember, I had this one teacher in like the low-level high school math class that we had, and he would assign us homework, and then I would do my homework, and then he'd walk around the room and be like, "Okay, show me your homework." And I'd show him, and he'd look at it and be like, "Okay," and he just marked if you did it or not. So it was either you got full credit or 0 credit. And then after he checked if everybody did their homework, then he would walk through literally every problem on the homework. And then if you had one wrong, just correct it, and then you can use it as a study guide later.
Mhm.
Well, one day, I got to thinking, like, I'm not going to do my homework today. I'm just going to show him the same sheet of paper I showed him yesterday and see what happens. So he walked by my desk, and I flipped open my book, and there was a piece of paper with math homework written on it. He was all right, good job. And he just kept walking. So like, let's try this again. So the next day, I was walking by my desk. I showed him the exact same piece of paper. All right? And he kept walking. I stopped doing homework like my second week of that class. And I just showed him the same piece of paper every day for the rest of the school year. I wonder why I'm not good at math.
I wonder.
It doesn't make any sense to me. You think I'd be really good at math?
Yeah. Hey, math is just logic, and logic is what you do for work.
Yeah, it is. No, literally what I do. We call logic. No, just write some logic to take care of that for me. Burr, burr, burr. That's why I can't drink on the job. Because the first thing that gets affected in my brain from alcohol is that little piece that allows me to follow a line of logic. I guess that's not going to get blazing hot. I guess my tongue's not going to freaking work. Oh, that's just going to screw up my curlicue. And we'll straighten them back out and try it.
I'm surprised you don't just hang it partially over the horn. Use it to
We can try that.
trim the edge.
Can't get this hotter. We can move this along faster so we don't have to melt away out here in the shop. So if I could get that really hot, we just drag it back with a pair of tongs. I think we're gonna actually get this fire going now.
You can get a good grip on it, sure.
We'll see. I don't know if it'll do it, but we'll try. Yeah. I'll get that real good and hot and bring it together. A whole bunch of coal smoke just went right down my throat. So we got it pretty much even, but we have a big loop on the end. So now we'll try to close that loop and hope that it stays relatively even. And that'll be good. You know what? I kind of like that. Let's have a loop again. Why not? Yeah, we'll make that. We'll flare that out a little bit, and it'll look kind of nice. Excuse me. Feel like a little lanyard loop type of deal. Because who's gonna stop me?
What was that word you used? Sha'ala?
What was that word?
Sha'ala or something along those lines? The Arabic word you were using earlier?
Oh, inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah.
Inshallah. If God wills it. Ooh, sparkle, sparkle. That's not awkward to hold at all. Gravity works.
Thanks for the clarification.
Well, you know me, always here to be helpful.
Still works.
Excuse me. All right, what are we doing? Get the middle hot so we can bring that together in the middle. This isn't awkward to hold on to like this at all. So it's a little easy. Get up. Yeah, inshallah, if God wills it. Anybody chit-chatting with us in the comments?
No.
I know, I work a little bit. My hand's about that big. My hand's about the size of the anvil. So I'll come out to here. That's going to be huge. We'll get a little bit more handle than we need. Mark this so we know where to bend it out. That should work. Guy at work, I was like, all right, dude, I gotta jump off of here. I gotta go light up the forge. He's like, right on, man. Have fun out your shop. Send me pictures of what you make. And I just want to be like, you can watch a whole damn video about what I made. Like,
That takes effort on his part.
so when we shut down the shop and go inside, I'll just text him the link to the stream. Hi, Riley. How did I bend these out last time? Do we remember?
I don't remember.
I think I splayed it out like a T. And then, you think that's how I did that?
Yeah, that would make sense. For those ones, it's probably easier to use your little bend tool.
Yep. Yep, the old bending part. Because again, get your tools out. A, before you get started on your project. Or B, if you don't have to go too far for your tools. While the piece is heating up, go get your tools. I see it all the time in beginners classes. Someone will be in the fire, they come out of the fire, they got a hot piece of metal in their hand. They're like, oh, hey, where's my this? Or where's this? And then they're running around the shop with a lightsaber in their hands. And it's getting colder and colder, and by the time they find the tool, you have to go back in the fire. So they waste the heat and waste all that time. So get your tools out before you do this. And the more you yammer and talk, the more your cigar will go. There is my mic.
Where is my mic?
Oh wow, that's way down there. Need to get my vise set up because this would be way easier with the vise. If I could just throw it in the vise. There you go. But I gotta raise up the platform so it'll fit right.
Looks like you got a spare piece of 2x4 here to do that now.
That's exactly what I'm planning on doing. I think there's like a little half piece, some quarter pieces that we cut off. I might put underneath it, or I might just cut that in half. Then raise that up, and I can use that more. That'll be handy. My dad's like, I bet you haven't even put that together since I built it for you. Like, you don't know. He's like, I know you. Like, yeah, but you don't know if I did or not. I just didn't want to give him the immediate satisfaction of being right. Maybe this weekend I'll come out in the morning before it gets hot and build my shelves and get the trash out of here and set up the vise.
I'll leave it when I see it.
Me too.
Rude.
And this is only the 5th or 6th week that you've said that.
I'll have you know, I got those shelves like back in December.
Yeah.
So it's been more than 6 weeks. Thank you. Get in.
Hardy hole.
Pardon?
Why don't you use your hardy hole? Now that you've got them separated.
Good. Very much good. Brittany, do you know anything about those chicken-looking creatures in the yard?
Yeah, they're pretty strict when it comes to if you give them a little bit of power, they'll take all the power.
The chickens? If you give them a little bit of power, they'll take all the power?
Yeah.
Are you talking about the book Animal Farm or something?
No. Talking about those 5 chickens over there.
They seem rather foul to me.
I didn't hear the word you said.
They seem rather foul to me.
That they are.
And I was out here Saturday. Well, not out here, but I was doing stuff in the garden on Saturday. I had a supervisor. He sat in the corner and just watched me. I would get up and like get a drink of water or do whatever, check my phone. It would just start making noises.
I
Nice
would
cigar.
expect a chicken to give a cluck if you're out there doing work or not.
Get back to work in the garden, it sits back in the corner.
Watch out, it might turn into Animal Farm. Might recruit the dogs next door.
What do you mean? They might infiltrate the house first. We'll get our dogs. The only animal we'll have on our side is the cat.
I don't know, I think he's more of a free agent.
Yeah, but the cat doesn't come outside.
That's true. You stay there.
Speaking of cats, your cat was very cute. It is very cute. I got her the first day. She was sitting there. It's the first time that I've actually like seen her. She's sitting near her, really sweet. Being checked her food and her water, she's good. She just goes down, pet her. Then it was on. She sat on the floor with her and she was just like, I didn't even have to do anything. She just like held my hand there and she pet herself.
Anytime I sit down to work at the computer, she climbs down and sits on my lap. I struggle to operate the mouse because she sees my arm move. And that's my arm.
Yep. She got me a couple times. I was like, okay, like, I'm gonna get up. And she'd lay down again and I'm like, okay, well, that's cute. I'm just gonna stay down here with her.
Thank you for watching her. It's very appreciated.
Yeah, of course. Glad she finally came out. But the other times that we watched her, we'd go in and she'd be like under your bed.
Yeah.
So I was surprised to see her sitting down.
So when is it official that you'll be a Floridian?
Yeah. I'll be driving back down there on the 19th, most likely.
Gotcha. Will that be your driving down there to stay? Well, aside from coming back up to get your storage stuff later.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll wind up staying in Florida or Tennessee. Like I said, they still kind of got that up in the air.
But your exit from Indiana is the 19th.
Yeah. I
You
got
have
to
to make
turn.
sure we go out to dinner before then.
Yeah, I got to turn in the keys to my apartment on the 19th.
Gotcha. Can I have that Gatorade that's on the floor?
Yeah. You got class Wednesday then?
Pardon?
You got anything going on Wednesday?
As in like 2 days from now?
Yep.
No. Nothing is on the books as far as I know.
Any chance I can commandeer you and the use of the bed of your truck to move my larger items to a storage unit?
Yeah, you can use the trailer too if you need to.
Nice.
Can I get the stuff off the trailer?
Yeah, that won't take long.
I don't know if we'll fully need the trailer or not. We'll see.
That's not gonna work like I wanted it to. Need a little bit more separation. I measured it out, and they're about 6 inches each rabbit ear. So I figured, oh well, I'll come out of the bend and then stand it back up, and it'll be about right. But once I started bending it, it's like, oh well, then the gap is going to be like that big. So let's come out a little bit more. We'll do shorter uprisers so we can get more separation. So I'll come out like, I'm going to eyeball it, like an inch or two. But heck, even if we do just use the truck, I still have to clean up the back of the truck. A lot of stuff in the bed.
Of course.
Well, it didn't help that we used the back of the tailgate as a picnic table and a workbench while we were working on the garden.
Yeah. It happens.
It's a pickup. It's
What it's used for.
How's your phone doing, Rennie?
It's hot, but it hasn't given me the shutting down message yet.
Are you still listening to the stream? How's it sounding?
We're a little clicky, but not terrible.
We should get a, I guess it wouldn't help because you got that plastic cover. Let's say get like a CPU, each smack it on the back of her phone with one of those little vector fans. Actively cool her phone.
And take the plan, just build a case that has the CPU cooler on the back of it.
It might be cool to get one of those heat sinks and fans that they use on Raspberry Pis that like cover the whole Raspberry Pi. Probably that's about the same form factor and size as to where we want to cool down a phone.
Yeah.
Get a cheap otter box, cut it out, and then glue that into it. And
Yeah. Get some cheap thermal paste to squirt on there. Just
I don't think she'd let us thermal paste the back of her phone.
thermal paste easy to clean off a little bit of rubbing alcohol.
I think we could talk her into a cooling case. I don't think we could talk her into having to alcohol wipe her phone.
You just need to hurry up and upgrade your phone. That way you can use your old phone for this.
I upgraded my phone like 2 months ago.
No. Then why are we
3
using
months ago.
her phone instead of your old phone?
I don't think that's going to be wide enough. Yeah. That's actually wider than this one. Cool. So yeah, here's the kick in the pants. Would you like to hear a kick in the pants, Levi?
Sure.
So it's, help me out, Brittany. It's probably been 2-3 months since I went to the new phone.
Something like that, yeah.
Because it just got to the point where my other one was just not usable anymore. And like, I had to constantly keep it charging. Like, watch YouTube for 10 minutes. Oh, I'm at 40%. Charge it for an hour. It's at 60%. Watch YouTube for 2. Oh, now I'm at 30. Just like, can't do this anymore. So I bought the 2023 model of my phone. Mine was the 2021 or something like that. got the 2023 model because it had better specs than the 2024 model. And then I just got an alert on my phone 3 days ago that they dropped the 2025 model.
The one that you had been waiting for all this time.
I didn't even bother looking at all the specs. I don't know if it's the Ultra or if it's just the baseline model, but the 2025 finally came out. I don't know if it's a flagship. But because of its low price, I don't think it was the full bore, like, big boy model. It's only like $550.
That's not too bad.
Yeah. When I got my previous phone, the one that's all buggy, it was the flagship model of that year from Motorola. It was like $12 an hour.
Yeah.
So I don't think this is a big fancy Pro Ultra or whatever.
Yeah.
I have a coworker that lives in Brazil, and he looked it up, and he could buy the big fancy big boy model down there. I was like, heck, dude, how much does that cost? And he told me in his local currency, looked it up, it's gonna be like $600 or $700. I was like, dude, can I like Venmo you $700 and you buy it and ship it to me? He's like, yeah, I could do that. But then I never pulled the trigger on him. Get that a little bit hotter. Maybe this weekend I'll come out and make another one when I don't have lights and cameras and people to talk to. Just come out here and go real slow, like give me slow to my mouth, and just really take my time and make another nice one. I was thinking go really fancy and get some of the thin bar I have and cut some lengths out of it, 8-10 inches, and then forge weld them together at one end,
Twist them.
almost, get it really hot, and then do a braid, and then forge weld the end, and then forge weld the uprights onto it. Thought that might be really cool.
Well, what you should do is you cut 6 of them small length, and then 2 of them you leave long for your uprights.
I was thinking about making a braided handle with like a tab at the top of some space, and then basically just making a big U shape, and then forge welding the U shape to the handle.
Yeah.
Well,
That turns your greatest stress point into your
weakest point too,
Yeah.
because there's 4 different welds there that can explode.
Yeah.
But still, it'd be cool as that.
No, I think you could still do the braid thing. You just leave 2 of them at 16 inches, you do 6 of them at 8 inches.
Mm.
And you braid them out together. You just
Because I
make
don't know how
sure
to
the
braid
2
it. I
long
only know how to
ones.
braid 3.
Huh?
I only know how to braid 3 things, not 6 things.
It's the same principle.
Okay, so I'll put it this way. I've never done that, and I'm not going to do it for the first time with metal. I have to go cut a bunch of P-cord and try to figure it out.
Your beard's long enough.
I did get really good when I was driving the Wrangler full time. I got really good at being able to braid my beard really quickly, like, because I drive the top and the doors off and not think about it and get going down the street, then I'm driving like this. So I'd stop at like a red light and real quickly braid it down. Went to the IBVA or IBVA conference 2 days ago over in Pontiac, Illinois. Definitely check them out. They got some cool stuff out there. But a dude was doing dragon scale, like twist, where he was, I think he was using a bandsaw, but he was basically cutting, like he would do a diamond shape and then he'd cut underneath it and then fold it out so it looked like scales, like scale armor. Like, well, that's cool as heck. I should have got his contact information so I could ask him how he did that. Because I think he was using like a bandsaw to undercut. But I'll bet you if I got my vice going and I got things really hot and took my time, I could probably do it with a chisel.
Probably. I don't see why not.
I could make a new chisel so I don't ruin my nice one, put a real fine point on it, and then temper the heck out of it. So it'll be stronger. Alright, let's see if we can't make this symmetrical. down a little bit first because it's all. Oh, all right. Let's get that bin caught. I'm gonna make that a little bit more straight. Let that go a little bit more straight before I try and bend it out. But yeah, there's all sorts of cool twists you can do. Like you cut lines into it, and then you twist it. It looks like Rubik's Cube pieces. It'd be cool. Like I feel like that create a lot of hot spots with all those sharp edges. But I might do some fancy twist or something.
Yeah, definitely seems like something you'd want to do as a finishing touch to it and not right off the get-go.
I had this big old chunk that Ian gave me.
I think that would be really cool if you could go up to Paul's and have them cut down the middle to, 6 or 8 inches so you still had a solid handle. And then you could do crazy stuff with the handle and then line it out.
What I was thinking was turn this round bar into a square bar and then come down to the chisel and split it that way instead of using a bandsaw.
Yeah.
And then folding it out, and then I have this big square section that I could carve lines into and all that stuff.
That would be pretty cool.
I got some copper welding wire in the back of my truck. I could file in some lines and then wrap that in there so it's like a cool wrap handle.
That would be really cool.
That handle's getting hot. Gotta go over to Ian's house and use his plasma cutter to cut the top off my keg so I can have a new quench tank. That'd be nice. But yeah, maybe I'll turn that into a slingshot and be like, here you go, Ian. Enjoy. So yeah, like it's so dang simple. There's a lot you can do to dress that up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe start making more of them. You could make yourself a little jig so you just have to bring the white hood, tap, 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 tap.
You know, I was thinking about that last night. Like just getting a board and sinking some bolts into it or some nails, and then get the whole thing hot and just with a pair of tongs.
Yeah.
Alright. Go ahead and bend this down just a skosh. That's a little better. We won't get it hot when we want it hot. And then build it up, bend it up, and it'll be great. I think I've been doing too much talking. I don't think this is going to be much more symmetrical than the other one. But I got all the time in the world. I can make as many of these as I want.
Yeah. Every piece is just practice.
1, 2, 4. So I can make after this one, I can make 3 more.
Yeah. And you said that bag was only like $5 or something.
Yeah, it was like super inexpensive. So I'll eventually make a nicer one and throw it up on Etsy, just see if it moves.
Yeah.
Limited edition. Thinking for a wrist rocket, want to get a long piece, fold it over itself and weld it, and then cut it and pull it out so it's got the uprights, and then the tail piece, bend it up and around so it's all one big piece. But I know, again, you have a will where the highest stress is.
Well, honestly, all you would really have to do, I mean, if you did 2 pieces that were mirrors of each other, you wouldn't necessarily have to have a metal band. Like you were talking about with E-cord, you could just
Just 2 runners on the other side and then put a...
just tie a E-cord band across the end of it.
I kind of like the idea of doing it all in one piece of metal, like just all one big.
Yeah, it feels like it'd be stronger that way.
You're probably right, but it comes down to the satisfaction of I took one piece and got it to do all the shapes I wanted it to. But again, the biggest problem there is the stress point of being a slingshot.
Yeah. Well, what I would do then is I would put a couple twists in my handle.
That didn't come out great, but it's not bad. Now we're just going to curl up the ends so we have a place to hook up our clinch that so it doesn't bend on me.
I think you need to flatten that out a bit. You got one tongue that's turn it 90 degrees.
Oh yeah. Well, we'll put the whole middle section hot and then flatten her. Got some square pieces around here. That might be a bit flimsy. But do the whole thing out of square bar and then do opposing twist on the uprights and then opposing twist on the handle so there's all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. If you twist in my handle that way, even if you had a weld in there, most of the force is still pushing against itself and it's not just
Blown apart, yeah. Maybe I'll turn this into a wrist rocket this weekend. Got a nice long piece. Yeah, something like that. More than enough to do one with that. Yeah. It's fun because it's a simple thing, but it opens up to a lot of possibilities. Maybe at the shop for Thursday nights, when we're done with our chair, we're making a chair for a competition for our local metal company. They're having some like 10, 15, 20 year anniversary, so they're doing a thing. Forge a chair, winning chair gets $500. So that's what we're working on right now. Maybe when the chair is done, I'll bring one of those to the shop and a whole bunch of those bands be like, hey guys, easy night tonight. Let's do a competition. Who can make the coolest slingshot? Come up with some kind of prize, you know.
the prize being another bag of rubber bands so they can make more.
Kurt always has really cool blacksmithing books floating around the shop. So when we do this competition, a couple years ago, we did the coolest S hook, and whoever won got this really cool blacksmithing book. Yeah, I'll talk to him. Be like, hey, let's do a competition of doodads. I'll bring the rubber bands and come up with a prize. Be like, here you guys, little competition. Because we haven't done one in a while. I know there's not a lot of coal in this forge right now, but I'm trying to burn it down and clean all the coal out and clean the whole thing out. I'm sure I got some cleaners down in there that are sucking away my heat. So yeah, I'm letting that drain out and then I'll redo it. I probably won't do that before I live stream because then we'll fill the shop with green smoke. So I'll do it when no one's around watching.
Add it to the list of the things you're gonna do this week.
Maybe. Depends on how hot it is. Okay, if I go to a hardware store, I get a big old fan. There's a guy up north that apparently has a basement full of coal. And it's, come get all you want for free, but you have to shovel it out of my basement yourself. But apparently, a kid who wants to be a farrier when he grows up, he's like 14 or something, 15. He and his family went down there and they spent like an hour pulling coal out, and they got a whole mess of coal out of his basement. That'd be fun, but it's a lot of work.
Hey, grab you in a couple 5-gallon buckets, float the tote up on the trailer. Just go until you fill up the tote.
Yeah. But also, it's a couple hour drive from here. But still, pretty cool.
Yeah, just bring half a dozen 5-gallon buckets. One guy filling up buckets, one guy running buckets.
Yeah. But buckets of coal up and downstairs all day long would be rough. But if I could just give the kid, like, hey, here's $100. Go get me 10 buckets of coal. We're getting some. Juiced up the fan a little bit. I haven't done an animal head in a long time. I wonder if I could find a big chunky piece and do like a ram head at the bottom and then have it.
You'd have to have the ram head be in the middle at the top of the handle. That way the horns can come out.
That's where my mind was going to.
Yeah, there's a lot of. That's a great idea. There's a lot of intricacies in trying to get that folded and then giving yourself enough room for big antlers. I would use a bandsaw for that one.
Yeah, that one I would probably wind up just welding. Do the ram's head. Make sure you get it nice. I'd probably machine weld the horns on.
Yeah. But it'd be fun to try and figure it out because with the animal heads, what we would do is we would fold the piece back on itself and then fold it down and then bring up the horns. There's a lot of bends to get that all to work out. Ooh, look at that, nice. Well, let's do something like that. Yeah, that's about right. How's that look to you?
That's much better.
Yeah. We're going to do a little push. Now let's pull over those. And since we're working on a much smaller piece, that's going to be much more fun to burn off, we're going to bring that air way down. Wish I had some scrolling tongs, that would be very handy.
Could make some.
No, I can't. But thank you for the confidence there.
I honestly only said it because I know how much you hate making tongs.
I do hate making tongs. But I do have a set of rapid tongs where the whole shape is formed out for you already. You just have to finish them. Get Paul to give me, because they're sitting in Paul's shop right now. Get Paul to bring them to me. And then shoot.
Hey, as long as you have the tool in hand, what does it matter?
Pardon?
As long as you have the tool in hand, what does it matter?
This is true. I've thought so many times of just jumping on like Tommy Tongs, Ted Tongs, something like that. But there's lots of companies where you can buy all the tongs you'd ever need. But my problem is 99% of the tools I use, I made. So I don't want to cheap out and then go buy a bunch of tongs because I didn't make those. Once Paul gets his shop set up. I think I'll go up to him and be like, all right, let's finish these dumb tongs that I started and then didn't finish. Did not have as much heat as I thought I did. I thought I had enough heat to bring it home. I didn't. So yeah, we'll curl that up, curl up the other end, do another quench, throw this doodad on there, and then launch a rock out of the shop like we did last time. I found out that launching coal rocks out of this thing shot work out pretty good too. Probably won't launch one of those big orange rods again though. I don't even know where they are.
Well, there's two in the garden. There's another one by the door. I don't know where it was.
Oh, and I got one holding down that chicken wire over there.
You got like a 2.5 foot piece of round bar you can stick in there.
Yes, I do. Like that, so I can still get the doodad in there, and then I'll close it cold. Heck, maybe I'll get the whole thing hot and wax seal this one. I don't know. It's really hot out here. Let's get the project finished. I'll wax seal it later. I need to get a doodad. I want to put a doodad right here and one over in that corner, that like a temperature gauge. So I can see how hot it gets in.
Yeah.
Heck, in Paul shop, he's got like a 30 by 40 full-on barn and a 2-flame propane forge. And in the wintertime, when we fire that thing up, it'll be freezing cold in that shop. We'll get that thing going, and after an hour of forging out there, we look at the tip gauge, and it's like 71, and I'm like standing outside trying to cool down. We got the door open.
Yeah. I feel like propane wastes a lot more heat.
It throws a lot of heat. Like, we've got a 4-burner natural gas forge at the big shop. And in the wintertime, we'll have the garage door open and the human door open. And it's like a full-size garage door that's, you could fit a double-decker in there.
Yeah, I mean,
And we'll stand at the doorway just like, like dying of heat.
essentially you're getting a stretch that's, what, 24 to 48 inches long, close to 1,500 degrees. Whereas,
That's about 2 feet.
yeah, for coal forge, you just have this hot little nugget in the middle, and you're not throwing off nearly the same amount of heat.
Oh, yeah. The coal forge that I like to use is in the corner, which is nice in the winter because it's always 90 degrees. Waka waka. Yeah, I think I definitely got a clinker down there. Zapping all my heat. While we wait for this to heat up, anybody in the chat talking to us?
No. Yeah, we had one person other than me show up for less than a minute, and then it's just been my phone.
But I feel like last summer we had a couple where we had 3 or 4 people in there chatting. Guess that's what happens when you take a couple of weeks off. Like, you kind of lose your momentum, then have to start over. Also, what's the date today?
This is 16th.
3 days ago was the first official live stream with the cameras.
Oh man,
Been doing this like a year now.
the setup's definitely changed a fair bit since then.
It's changed a lot. Like we used to be under a tree in the front yard where everybody walking by became a part of the live stream, whether we wanted them to or not.
Yeah.
We won't get into any more detail than that. But yeah, it's nice to be back here now.
It was nice working out underneath the tree because it was nice outside most of the time.
Yeah, nice comfortable breeze most of the time.
Yeah. In the shade for the most part.
That air mover was a game changer for me too, because I'd just be roasting out there with the sun in my face. Getting that air mover was nice, and it was far enough away it didn't get picked up by the microphones. Whereas now, if we turn that thing on, everybody would hear it roar. Let's see if we can't bring this home. I thought this was, a lot quicker, but the coal fire has not been participating, cooperating rather. So yeah, just gotta put a final curly cue, punch it, put the doodad on there, close it around it, and then launch a coal rock out the shop, and bada bing, there we go. Nice to get this one ready. You can look at that. Pull it down. Nope, wrong direction. Well, those are mostly lined up, but it won't affect things too much, so we'll get this. Ooh, she fell all over in there. So, we'll let that quench for just a second so we don't melt the rubber. And then we'll get it all finished up. Again, very nice, easy project for a beginner class. Because usually the first class is tapers, rounding, and then making S-hooks. And if you can do that, then you can most certainly make one of these, because it's just a taper on each end, then some basic bends like you would for like an S-hook, and then curly cue it up, put the finial on.
I don't know if it'd be a first project, but a second project would be amazing.
Yeah, like make S-hooks one day,
And then
the next day sling shot.
Yep.
Yeah. Alright, we got ourselves a slingshot. We got a rag or something over here. Can you throw those paper towels at me real quick?
Apparently not.
Thank you. Much as fast.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's not very symmetrical. I always end up with one arm bigger than the other. Next time I'll actually make measurements and mark where the bends are.
I was about to say that was the only part that you eyeballed.
Yeah. Dang, that's too bad. But it's a good start. So we'll put this doodad on here.
I like the width of the forks on this one a lot more.
Yeah, I like the bigger form factor. It's much more comfortable in the hand too. So now we'll just close that gap. Pinch that in there. that's not going to go anywhere. That appears to be a slingshot. So in case it's not hot. Bada bang, slingshot. Hooray. So there we go. It's not perfectly symmetrical. We eyeballed it, so that's going to happen. Like that handle a little bit more. Got a loop on it, it's like a lanyard or something. But boom, we got ourselves a slingshot. So yeah, I think we'll call it a night there. We made a slingshot. Neat. And I think we'll shut her down. We will see you next week. Same Forge channel, same Forge time. You guys have any final parting words? Going once, twice? All right, kids, we're out of here.